guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and this is an episode that is unplanned. It's off the cuff. This is just me shooting straight from the hip with you guys about all the Warner Brothers rumors that have, the last 24 to 36 hours before the recording of this video, the internet is just like, people are running around holding their hair, and they're just like, ah, like everybody's so concerned that physical media is disappearing from Warner Brothers. Because of statements that Jerry Beck, the animation historian Jerry Beck, has made. Let's look at some facts really quick, you guys. I gotta say also, Films at Home made a video about this. I think my perspective is a little different than Jeff's, but his perspective is valuable. And, consider his, consider mine. Make up your own mind. And people have asked me, I'm still getting requests like, well, what do you think about it, Heath? So that's why we're doing this video. Let's look at facts, okay? Jerry Beck he's not an employee of Warner Brothers. He in fact issued a follow-up statement to the one that everybody's quoting about the future of. He made some comments that a lot of bloggers, I'm going to say it, a lot of people who were chasing clicks and wanted to be first, posted articles about that are basically saying that Warner Brothers is pulling out of physical media in 2022, that they're shutting down entire departments, and that the future is streaming only. Jerry Beck did not say that, and Jerry Beck is not a Warner Brothers employee, as he stated in his follow-up statement. But here's what we do know. Jerry Beck has worked with Warner Archive for years. He knows a lot about what he's talking about, and he's been within the sphere of independent contractors, third-party consultants for Warner Archive for a very long time. His experiences are not to be discounted, but they're also not Warner Brothers law set in stone. No one has gone to Jerry Beck from Warner Brothers and said, Jerry Beck, here's the exit strategy for how we get out of physical media. That hasn't happened, and he said that. But here's what else we know. At the end of 2020, I did a retrospective video. I said that 2020 was the best year ever for physical media, and that no year in the future would ever top 2020, that it was all going to start going downhill, because I knew my contacts at Warner Brothers were telling me it's not looking good for what's happening at Warner Brothers. Lots and lots of people have been laid off since December. New leadership. Jason Kilar comes into Warner Brothers as the CEO. He comes from streaming. His interests are in streaming. His goal, his job at the company is to raise revenue, to create as much revenue for Warner Brothers as he can. That means cutting departments. That means shutting down things that are not making tons of money and focusing on things that do make tons of money. HBO Max makes tons of money. They had, what did they just report, like 46 million subscribers, something like that. Well, a Warner Archive disc sells like, 3,000, 5,000, I don't know. Compare that to 44 million subscribers. It's small money. So is Warner Archive on the chopping block? No statement for sure. We don't know for sure. However, Warner Archive is still around as a label, and as the work that they did, it's still around. But here's what I know. There were 3 hosts of the Warner Archive podcast, which has run for hundreds of episodes. I think they've crossed 400 episodes. Like 12, 13 years, something like that. There were 3 hosts. There was Matt Patterson, there was D.W. Ferranti, and there was George Felsenstein, the guru of Warner Archive. Warner Archive was and has been the brainchild, the love of George Felsenstein. As of this video, none of those 3 people are currently officially employees of Warner Brothers. All 3 were, by what we know from the media and what they said in the last episode of the podcast, none of those 3 are officially employed by Warner Brothers anymore. It seems like George Felsenstein has maintained some sort of a consultant role, and in that last episode of the podcast, he's talking about how there's releases planned for later in 2021. This might be pushed to 2022. He's talking about the future, perhaps optimistically, perhaps hopefully. No one really knows what's going to happen, and I think that one of the reasons that nobody knows is because that decision has not been made yet. I think we've got 4K from Warner Brothers and big major label releases. I think we've got that for years to come. Jeff from Films at Home says years to come. I think that's probably true. If Warner Archive can make money on some new releases, they will. Or if Warner Brothers, Warner Archive is a different story, right? Because those are small preservation ventures. And again, 3,000. If you're a bean counter, if you're looking at numbers and you can see that, well, this release sells $3,000, but if we put a Wonder Woman movie on HBO Max and it gets 30 million hits in the first month, that's where you put your money. Just as compare it to Disney, compare it to what Bob Iger has done with Disney. Now, a lot of us old school Disney fans do not like what Bob Iger has done to the Disney company. But shareholders love what Bob Iger has done because he made it profitable. He made Disney profitable. He raised revenue, right? He's acquired so much stuff, and if you're looking at numbers, Bob Iger's the best CEO. He's the best guy that's ever been involved with Disney. But for someone who cares about the legacy of the company, the caretaking of certain properties, that's a whole different conversation. I think we're seeing that with Warner Brothers now, and we'll probably see it with other companies, the major players in the near future. But Jerry Beck, I think what I say is where there's smoke, there's fire. What Jerry Beck said feels right to me. It affirms what those of us who cover a lot of this stuff at a certain level have been blessed with relationships with people behind the scenes. And I can tell you from my relationships behind the scenes, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like things are going upward. It looks like things are going downward, which is what I told you guys. But we can't jump to the conclusion and say that because things have started to, because Warner Brothers is focusing primarily on streaming, which they are. It's not even, that's a fact. We can't extrapolate from that and say that they're pulling out in 2022. There's an exit strategy. There may be, but Jerry Beck doesn't know what the exit strategy is. I don't know what the exit strategy is. I don't think Warner Brothers has planned an exit strategy at this point. All we know is the market is changing. Things are moving to a streaming-focused model. Listen, a best-case scenario to come out of this is Warner Brothers says, we don't want to take the time to license, to release these movies ourselves anymore. It's a big drain on our resources. But you know what? There's Mill Creek, there's Kino Lorber, there's Viavision, there's all these distributors, there's Umbrella. Worldwide, there's all these third parties that would be more than happy to make deals with Warner Brothers to keep those products coming to people like us who love these things. And again, 4K probably not going anywhere for the near future because those discs, that's what people want to talk about, right? Look at films at home. Look at the numbers that films at home, look, the views that some of those titles get. That's a valuable, viable market. So the bottom line is we don't really know what's going on. We know a lot of people have lost their jobs. We know that the people at Warner Archive are not the people that we have connected with Warner Archive as being responsible for all these titles. They're not there anymore, or they are there, and some are still there in consultant capacity. But what happens? Who makes the discs? Is there still preservation work being done? Probably. Sounds like it. But it does also sound like there's a big, they're cutting departments. They're cutting expenses. It is what it is. All we can do is we can make our voice heard on Twitter. But I'm telling you guys, I've said this for years now. All the angry articles, all the angry tweets to Warner Brothers doesn't really mean anything. What means anything is columns that have profits and losses in them. If you want to support Warner Archive, then you need to buy Warner Archive discs. You don't pirate them. You buy them while you can buy them, and you send a message that there's an audience for that, because that's what the number crunchers need to see. If something is profitable, that will continue. If it's not profitable, it will not continue. That's just business, and that's harsh, especially when we love this stuff, right? When we value the art as movies are art, right? They're product as well. What's kind of scary is that we're seeing more and more that these movies are just being used as like pawns and bargaining chips. But for us, they're art, and we love this stuff. And for the creators, the people that made them, they're art as well. But we're moving back into a realm that I don't think we've seen in decades now, which is where the studios are once again retaining full control. With the rise of streaming, they can censor, they can remove, they can create scarcity. They have no distribution costs. They have server fees. It gives them total control. Of course they want that. Of course that's the end game for them. So we can vote with our wallets, and we can, talk about conversations like this. But no one really knows what's happening at Warner Brothers. We can see the effects, we can see the losses that are happening, we can see the cutting that's going on, the lack of Warner Archive still in business right now. The library is still there. They just opened an Amazon storefront. Now, I told you guys in that final 4 for 44 sale that the WB shop was going under, and then it went under. I'll tell you this right now: Warner Archive products are still available. The library is still there. You can shop for them on Amazon. And there's rumors that there's possibly another site coming. More on that as we find out, firm details, and it's not speculation. But if you do want this stuff, if you have Warner Archive discs that you're interested in, I would go ahead and buy them. I would not assume that they're always going to be there, because I think if the current situation is telling us anything, it's that this stuff is not always going to be around. When it's going to go away, I don't know. No one knows. I don't think the CEO of Warner Brothers knows. I don't think that decision has been made yet. You can just kind of read the tea leaves and see which direction the wind is blowing, and that's where we're headed. So we support this stuff, we buy this stuff, we talk about this stuff. That's what we can do. We vote with our wallets. Guys, that's what I've got to say about the matter right now. If you've got any questions that you feel like I didn't answer, I'll do my best to answer them in the comments below this video. But there are no real firm facts about an exit strategy for Warner Brothers Home Entertainment out of the physical media game. Tea leaves seem to point that way for most titles. I think we're going to see less of them. The fact that most of the direct-to-DVD movies now get DVD only and not Blu-ray, that says something. But again, it's not black or white. It's very gray. And this always in motion, the future is, right? So we'll just have to keep our eyes on things. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me talking about this. It's an important topic, but let's not lose our mind. Let's not panic, and let's keep a level head, level conversation, and try to avoid clickbait, poorly written articles that are meant to scare us and to, you can usually tell, right? If somebody just wants clicks and they tried to be first, do their facts check out? Are they citing sources? That's the big thing. Any viable news story is going to have a source, okay? Rumor, it's not a news item. A rumor is a rumor. That's gossip. You need a fact for a story. Guys, thanks so much. Take care. Till next time, I will catch you later.